Hello everyone, and welcome to Healthy Cooking with Shayda. I'm your host, and this is where I teach you how to make healthy, delicious, plant-based meals that are salt, oil, and sugar-free. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, please consider doing so. And to those of you that have subscribed, I want to thank you personally for subscribing. And please make sure to share this video with all your friends and family. So today, we are going to make an oil-free mushroom gravy. This is not going to be your ordinary gravy. Growing up, I was not brought up on gravy, and it wasn't really until we moved to the United States and, started to adopt some of the meals that were here, and I started to find out about gravy. What I really didn't care for gravy was the fact that it was so watery and runny. And I found that I wanted my gravy to be a little bit on the thicker side, and especially for mushroom gravy, I wanted to have the mushrooms that I can bite into. So that's what this gravy is all about. There's a lot of mushrooms in here, and there's more, I would say, that you could bite into it. It's more mushrooms than it is actual gravy, but that's the way that I like it. So in here we've got, the baby bella mushrooms. We've got the shiitake mushrooms that are going in here. And over here, I make my own mushroom gravy because I don't want to put the mushroom broth that you buy in the store because it's really high in sodium, and I haven't found one that is low in sodium. So I make it myself, and it's really simple and easy to make. So if you've seen my video on my mushroom soup, you see how I used these dried gourmet mixed mushrooms. So what I've done here, and this has shiitake, porcini, bella, and a few other, I think it's got oyster in here. It's got a wide variety of different types of mushrooms, which is really good for us. So what I do with this is I take about a cup or maybe a little bit more of this dried mushroom, and I do it the night before because I want this to be soaking as long as possible. And I rinse it, and then I get a bowl like this one, and then I put the dried mushrooms in here, and then I rinse it really well. And then once it's rinsed, I fill this up with clean water, and I put this back in, and I take hot water and I pour it on top of this. Now, and then I put a plate on top, and then that's it. I do that the night before, and when I come back, there's your mushroom gravy right there. And this has been sitting and soaking for well over 16 hours, which is great because it's got a deeper concentrated flavor, which I absolutely love. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this broth, I'm going to use it in my mushroom gravy, and then I'm going to take the dried mushrooms that have been soaking. I'm not going to incorporate that with the mushrooms that are here because I find that a few times that I did it, it was still a little bit tough and it wasn't as tender as all the other mushrooms. So what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to take it, mix it with about a cup of the broth, and use that along with the broth and thicken my gravy with it. And you'll see it's going to be absolutely delicious and fantastic. So when I come back, I'm going to show you how all that's going to be done. All right, so I've gone ahead and drained this and put it in this glass container. We're going to put all of the dried mushrooms that have been soaking into the Vitamix. And if you don't have a Vitamix, just make sure you're using a really powerful blender. And then we're going to take about a cup to 2 cups of the broth. Let's do 2 cups. And we are going to blend it. So now that we've blended these mushrooms, we're going to be taking this and mixing it with our broth once we're ready to add it to the pan to make our mushroom gravy. So we'll be right back. Okay guys, so we've got our pan on the stove and we're going to warm that up and get it ready to go. In the meantime, if you have a garlic chopper, this is a Tupperware garlic chopper, which makes it really easy to chop up the garlic. We're going to take our garlic, put it in here. And look how easy this is. You kind of get an arm workout while doing it. And nothing gets wasted, which is the best part. So now our garlic for our mushroom gravy is ready to go. So what I have done is I've gone ahead and chopped up all my baby bella mushrooms. I've actually just sliced them. And then I've also done the same thing with the shiitake mushrooms. I've gone ahead and sliced them. And then what I'm going to be using is a 10-ounce bag of already chopped onions. It just makes my life easier. I don't mind chopping onions, but honestly, if I don't have to, then I'd rather not. So as the pan's warming up, we can now go ahead and add, I love that sizzling sound, add the onions, add the mushrooms, and we're going to mix this up. And I'm going to put the top on so that the mushrooms will start to sweat. And then that way you don't need to add any water to this. If this starts sticking, then yes, you want to add a little bit of water to it. But like I'm talking about a tablespoon at a time. Don't go crazy in adding a lot of water. But try to let it sweat itself out for a little bit. And that'll start to release, between the onions and the mushrooms, it'll start to release a lot of moisture. This process will take about 10 to 15 minutes because you want the mushrooms to cook all the way through. But just keep making sure to mix it because you don't want the onions on the bottom and then the mushrooms on top. You want to mix it really well so that everything continues to cook evenly. And then we're going to be adding our garlic, our chopped garlic to it as well. So as you can see, I'm now lifting the lid because look how much water this has generated, and I really did not have to add any water to this whatsoever. But I do want some of this water to start to evaporate, so we're going to keep the lid off. At this time, we're also going to be adding the garlic to it. I don't usually start with the garlic in there because I don't want it to burn. This way I know we'll get the full flavor. Now you're just going to want to mix everything. This is what I love about this mushroom gravy. There's so much mushrooms in here. And if you are a mushroom lover, then you're going to love this. I'm going to turn the heat down just a little bit. So at this point, you can see that the mushrooms are really cooking all the way through very nicely. And to this mixture, we are going to add all our spices, which is thyme, rosemary, black pepper, and we are also going to add Benson's Table Tasty as a salt substitute, but feel free to use any salt substitute that you like. And we're going to mix this for about a minute or two. And while this is cooking, we are going to be making our broth that we're going to be adding to this. So we are in a large bowl, we are going to add 2 cups of the mushroom broth, and we're also going to add the mushroom broth that we made that was blended from the dried mushrooms. So to this, now I've added the mushrooms that were blended, and I've added an extra 2 cups of the regular mushroom broth. And to this, we're going to add the potato starch, and we are going to add the nutritional yeast. Let me get the nutritional yeast. Make sure this gets blended really well. And let's add the potato starch. We're going to add about 2 tablespoons of the potato starch. You want to mix and blend everything really well again in the broth. Once you have blended everything, as you can see, we're going to add this. Now, we are going to bring this to a boil. And then we're going to turn it down. But you're going to have to keep mixing this the entire time, because you want to make sure that that potato starch is blended really well in here. And we're trying to get this as thick as you like. So this will be up to you. Once this comes to a boil, how long you guys want to keep doing this and how thick you want it. This is starting to come to a boil, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn this down. I'm going to turn it down to low to a simmer, and I'm going to wait for it to thicken up a little bit more, but I'm not going to let it thicken up too much. I kind of like this consistency. What I am going to add to it now is California balsamic blazing habanero vinegar. It does add a little bit of kick to it, not much, but I kind of like it. You can add regular balsamic vinegar. You can add the Napa Valley balsamic vinegar to it. It's just as tasty. So we're going to add that. The recipe for this will be on my website. And this goes really well on top of rice, on top of quinoa, on top of potatoes, on top of mashed potatoes. It really lends itself to a delicious treat. You can make a baked potato and have this on top of it, and it's really, really good. I sometimes will have it on quinoa, on brown rice, whatever you guys like. Okay, so this mushroom gravy turned out nice and thick. I don't know if you guys can see this, but let's taste it because you want to make sure that the seasoning is all there. This is so good. If you guys like something really mushroomy, this is it. This is definitely it. Not sure I can show it to you. I'll do my best, but this is a nice thick mushroom gravy with lots and lots of mushrooms, which is so good, especially on a cold winter's day. I want to thank you guys for watching another episode of Healthy Cooking with Shayda. Remember, guys, it's one bite at a time, one meal at a time, and we'll see you soon with our next video.